Hey y'all, it's Kim from Kim Dixon Creative. I'm so happy that you stopped by my channel today. Today I'm making a fun fold Christmas card. It's a very simple card, but it really packs a punch. I'm using some paper from last year's paper pack for Mintay. It's called Winterland. I'm going to use that snowflake paper, and I'm also using Maymay Made It's Angel's Song stamp set. I think this is a really pretty stamp set. It's very simple to use. So I'm going to cut my card base to 5.5 by 11. Once I get that card base cut, I'm going to score that card base along the 11-inch side at 1 1/4 inch, 4 inches, and 6 3/4 inches. That's 1 1/4, 4, and 6 3/4. All of these measurements are going to be on Maymay's blog, so you can look at it later after this post and get those measurements. So your first score line, your first fold, is on the 6 3/4 inch score line. You're going to fold it to make a valley. Then you're going to fold on the 4-inch score line in the opposite direction and make a mountain. And then along the 1 1/4 inch score line, you're going to fold back and make another valley. This is going to give you a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch note card when all folded up. We're also going to be using some Brutus Monroe Raven cardstock. All of the mats will be cut 1/8 of an inch smaller, giving you a 1/16 of an inch border. Then the Mintay paper that you're going to cut will also give you, you're going to also cut it yet another 1/8 of an inch smaller, giving you a 1/16 of an inch border around that. You're also going to need a piece of Brutus Monroe Raven cardstock cut to 3 inches by 4 1/4 inches. This is going to go on the front of your card. We're going to be stamping this out in Versamark watermark ink. I'm going to use the largest standing angel and the sentiment that says "Glory to God in the highest." I'm going to get my stamp set like I want it and pick it up with the Misty Door. Once I get it picked up with the Misty Door, then I'm going to treat that little piece of cardstock there with a anti-static powder bag to keep the embossing powder from sticking in places that I don't want it to stick. I do end up stamping this twice. I only show it once, but I do end up stamping that twice just to make sure that I get a good impression with that watermark ink. This is the focal panel, so I want it to look really, really nice. I'm going to take my coffee filter and pour my super fine detailed silver embossing powder over my panel and let it coat where that Versamark ink is. Tap it off, and then I'm going to give it another coat just for good measure to make sure I get it everywhere I want it. And give it a good tap. And I have that little brush there to the side just in case I get some powder where I don't want it. But it looks like that anti-static powder bag did its job. I'm going to somewhat carefully pour that back in the little jar. I did get some in places I didn't want. And I've got my heat tool heating up over to the side. I'm going to heat the back first and then melt the embossing powder from the front. And as every one of us know that's ever done any kind of heat embossing, this is just magical. I don't know why, it's just so fascinating the way it looks when it's done and while it melts. And be careful, don't burn your fingers. I should be using a clothespin. Now I'm going to take my We Are Memory Keepers stub and scallop punch and punch all 4 corners with the scallop punch side to give it even further detail on the front. I love the look of that scallop punch on the corners. It's just so pretty and so elegant. especially with that black cardstock and the silver embossing. It just looks really pretty. Now I'm going to take a microfiber towel and just run it across that little black piece of cardstock where we have embossed, and rub off all of that anti-static powder so that we have a pretty clear and crisp image for our focal point. Now I'm going to glue all my mats together. I'm going to take the Raven Black cardstock from Brutus Monroe, which is cut at 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I'm going to glue my Mintay mat down, which is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I'm going to glue that together. My other pieces, I have a piece that is cut 2 5/8. The Raven cardstock is 2 5/8 by 5 3/8. The mat for the Mintay paper is 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. And then that smallest piece is cut, the black Raven cardstock is cut at 1 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8. And the Mintay paper is cut 1 by 5 1/4. So all of your mats, your black mats, are 5 3/8 of an inch tall. All of your Mintay is 5 1/4 tall. That gives you the 1/16 of an inch border on all pieces. I think it looks really pretty with just that very narrow border around. And you're only going to put these mats in 3 spots on your card. You're going to leave the others white. So that first big mat that ends up being 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 is going to go on your main inside card panel. Part of that will show when your card is closed. Then the mat that is cut 2 5/8 by 5 3/8 is going to go on, you're going to skip a panel. It's going to go on the front of the next panel. Right there. That's the part that's going to show. Again, that mat is cut. The black mat is 2 5/8 of an inch by 5 3/8. The Mintay paper is just an 1/8 of an inch smaller at 2 1/2 by 5 1/4. Then you're going to fold that smallest flap and put your mat there. The black mat is cut at 1 1/8 by 5 3/8, and the Mintay paper is cut at 1 by 5 1/4 of an inch. And that's going to go on your outside flap. Once you get that like you want it, you want to take your focal panel and just kind of eyeball where you want it to go, and only glue the very left side of this card mat, of your focal mat. You only want it glued just a little bit along that edge so that that card will open. It's going to go, the left hand edge is going to be glued to the right hand edge of your smallest flap on your card base. Now we're going to make a belly band. We're going to take a piece of that Mintay, it's cut at 1 1/2 by 12, and just wrap it around your card. You don't want that belly band so tight that you want it tight enough to hold your card together, but you don't want it so tight that it's going to be hard to get on and off your card. So make sure that you do it loosely. Slide it up and down to make sure. And then you're going to glue the 2 ends of your flap together. This is probably the easiest part of the card. There's no measuring or specifics there. Then what I did, I took the stitch scallop circle dies from Dress My Craft, and I cut a small circle out of the Raven cardstock and an even smaller circle out of the Mintay paper so that it would nest inside. I'm going to take that small standing angel that's on the stamp set, and I'm going to just stamp it on that small little circle, the Mintay paper, using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. As we've talked about before, this VersaFine Clair ink, especially the Nocturne, is such a juicy pad, and it is so crisp when you stamp it. I really do love this ink. It's very easy to get a nice impression with it. We're going to glue that to the center, glue the small Mintay piece where you've stamped the angel to the center of your little bit larger Raven cardstock circle. It's hard to see the stitching lines, but those Dress My Craft dies are really nice. I do like the way the stitching turns out. I just like those dies very well. They have a good price point too. I'm going to take some 3D foam squares and pop this circle up onto my belly band. You want to be careful. Don't do what I did. Mine were hanging over, so I had to move a few. So be careful to only put them where the, so that they won't hang off the belly band, because that's going to hang on your card and cause it not to be able to be opened. I'm going to remove all the backers off of my foam squares, and I'm going to adhere that to the center of the belly band. Now the glued flaps that we have are on the back. This is the front of that belly band. And I'm going to just slide it on to make sure that it fits well. And I almost got it a little bit too small because of the dimension. We have so many mats on this card. There's quite a bit of a dimension on it. But I think it looks really cute that way. Now I decide that I want a little bit more bling, a little more shine maybe on the front of this card. I'm going to end up taking a clear Wink of Stella. I don't know how many years I've had this Wink of Stella, but it's been a long time. It's probably one of the first things I ever bought. But I'm just going to brush that Wink of Stella onto the angel there. And I think this card turned out really, really cute. Thanks again for taking time out of your schedule to spend some time with me on my channel. I hope you enjoyed the card. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I would love it if you would. Also, hit the little bell icon so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Like and share, comment on the video. All of these things help me out and help me grow my channel so that I can keep bringing more things to you. Also, while you're at it, if you don't mind, check out the other girls in the design team. They all have links over on Maymay's blog, which I've left a link to down below in the description box. I've also left a list of the items and supplies that I used in this card in the description box below. They are affiliate links, and so I do earn a small commission off of it. No extra cost to you, but it does helps me buy more paper so that I can play some more. Thanks again for stopping by. I enjoyed spending time with you. And until next time, bye.